All right, everyone. Welcome to the Paketo Working Group meeting. Thank you all for joining. Reminded that we are now running an alternating schedule. So today we have the meeting, the um, previous schedule of Tuesdays. Next week, the meeting will be held on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That will be 5 p.m. Central European Time. All right, I'm sharing here again a link to the agenda and notes. If you want to ask any question or start a discussion topic, please feel free to add it to the last section of the agenda. And let me share my screen real quick. All right. Also, yeah, consider adding yourself to the attendees list, including your affiliation. That will be really helpful. Okay. Well, for this session, who would like to take notes? Anyone? I can try if you don't mind. Cool. Anyone joining for the first time? Not much. Cool. So let's review outstanding RFCs. Let me see. Last time that I saw this, yeah, we only had proposals in draft state. We are at that stage in the development cycle in the year that I would say that mainly on implementing accepted proposals. But again, if there's any idea you may have and you consider writing an RFC, please feel free to do it. So it can be discussed here. Cool. Any comment around RFCs? All right. Next up in the agenda, we have updates and or questions from the upstream project. At least a couple from, that I'm aware of. One of them is there are some updates in the RFC in the proposal to donate KPAC to the Cloud Native Buildpacks project. Well, the proposal is still in draft state, but it has received some updates and some recent discussion. If you want to chime in or add anything, that will be interesting. And in a related note, there's also a discussion to extend governance for the potential donation. So that will mean creating the component maintainer role. Also a very active discussion in the proposal. You can see Jan's comments there. That's great. So that's a bit of the updates that I've seen from last week on the CNB project. Is there any comment about this one or any other update you would like to discuss here? No. Okay, cool. Moving on to the next one. There's a project update. I had at least 2 of them. And not sure if anyone else would like to share anything else. But first one, well, again, next week's KubeCon. We are 1 week away from the Cloud Foundry Day. It will happen on October 25th. The links are in previous sessions notes, links for the sessions that the maintainers team are presenting there. One from Ryan and Sophie on what's new with Paketo Buildpacks, and one more. This is a lighting talk from Timothy on remote debugging of .NET Core apps. And in the KubeCon North America schedule, we also have a session from Frankie and Sophie around S-bombs, very hot topic right now. So if you're attending, whether virtually or physically, we will encourage you to attend these sessions. There will be also an office hours a space from the project, and there will be a cloud fund reboot. If you are attending, again, whether in person or virtually, in the expo hall, or I don't know how it's called this year, there will be a Cloud Foundry Foundation booth, and you will find their maintainers from the Paketo Buildpacks project. You can ask questions and get the conversation started there. So it will be awesome to meet you there. All right, and finally, user survey results are in. I share what I think is a bit of preliminary analysis on data. First thing that I need to say is thank you. Thank you to all the users, community. Yeah, sorry. Thank you all the community members who provided feedback. This week, you will receive a message with the instructions to get your well-deserved swag. So some of the findings here, and I plan to expand this material with the whole set of responses from the community. But right now, this is what we can see. The documentation seems to be the number one learning resource. So every effort we put into making it even greater will be well received by the user community. Right. Second place is video tutorials. Probably there's some work to do on that front, but the number one resource is still documentation for learning, but not so much for troubleshooting. Because kind of the message here in the summary of most of the responses is that when everything works as intended, documentation is easy to follow, and you know, it has this logical sequence of steps, and it's fine. But when something fails, or where the user intends to do something a bit different from the intended use case, documentation seems to be lagging. So user community finds this Slack workspace really useful. Try to problems. I'm having some audio issues here. Why? Well, this is bittersweet. I mean, it's great that our users find quick responses from the maintainers team and from other community members on Slack. That's great, but probably we will need to put more effort into troubleshooting resources available right there in the documentation. And on other question was, tell us one thing you haven't been able to achieve by just using the documentation as a reference. So again, the message revolves around when something doesn't work as expected, or the intended use case is different to the ideal. Probably is not exactly covered right now in the docs. I have to say that some of the users recognize how much the docs have improved over time. but some of them have, need to go to the CMB website and some other resources to understand how things work, and especially why, or some of the design decisions that are already present in the project. And for example, to understand, to have a single place to find out which versions of languages and tools are supported, which makes a lot of sense for me. This was a great one, an interesting one. Why Paketo versus other Buildpack implementations? Community was a common reason on most of the responses, which is great. I mean, kudos to you all who make this an active community and friendly, responsive community. So that's really helpful. Thank you. It's the demonstration that sometimes it's mainly the non-technical part which makes a community successful, a project successful. So the support for many languages, the broader support, is also a big reason to choose Paketo over other implementations, and some nice extra features, right? So that's interesting. And well, the number one feature request, build artifacts other than OCI images. Something around specifying dependencies on the fly, and ARM. Probably all responses included ARM. So yeah, it's a big one to tackle. Right, so this is just an excerpt of the feedback that the users provided. I will be extending the content here in the slides. The link is there, so you will be able to read the whole content of all the responses in the survey. Is there, yeah, the action items on this. The goal is to turn this into issues, so we can continue discussion there and see how we can prioritize and put some time and effort on improving what needs to be improved. So you will see that in the coming days. Is there any comment around these updates? Survey. Yeah, Jan, please.
There's like the qualitative feedback, I guess, is definitely worth to put in issues and start discussion there. But the quantitative feedback, it's quite just like, what was it, 11 people participating? Maybe we should rather draw a conclusion to find out how we can actually get more people to participate, or whatever. That's maybe the main thing. I wouldn't derive anything in terms of we now need to shift any things into documentation or troubleshooting guides just based on these numbers, because they don't seem to really be that, based on a huge database, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, statistically, is not meaningful for the sample size is not meaningful. So yeah, one of the conclusions will be how to make sure that we have the feedback from more community members to confirm if these trends are what the majority of the community is thinking right now. Yeah, this was a first exercise, and certainly we will have a second iteration trying to cast a wider net. Thank you. Yeah, Jericho, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I feel like maybe a lot of the issues that at least from what I've seen in Slack, a lot of issues that you kind of field are like, how do Buildpacks work? It's like you initially triage how it all works to begin with, and then people understand that. So I don't know if it's like a reflection on your documentation, but maybe more that there needs to just be like a, I don't know if it's better documentation for upstream build pack, like the pack tool, but maybe just a pack troubleshooting documentation that's more general. That would be helpful for users, because a lot of the stuff I see is, I don't get what's going on here, and then Paketo team kind of like helps in that respect.
Absolutely, you're right. Thank you, Jericho. That's a good observation. Cool. Anything else in regard? Oh, okay. In terms of questions, discussion topics, I don't see anything in the agenda, but is there anything you like to discuss here? Oh. Cool. All right. Well, if that's the case, thank you so much for your time and hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Thank you.
See you. Thanks. Bye.